We start the session of weapons with the word safety. When we train weapons, few very important things. One, I really suggest you using goggles, protective goggles, to keep your eyes safe. The second very important thing is the law. The law not always protects the victim, so be smart when you use force and when you're not using force, especially using weapons of any kind, a stone, a stick, whatever. Be very careful about it. I'm not gonna teach you how to become a master in any weapon. To become a master in any weapon, you need to practice this specific weapon really long time. What I want to do is teach you some basic weapons, some basic usage with basic weapons, and to make you understand how you can take anything in your hand and make it a weapon. Let's start with talking about weapon types. There are weapons with a blade, and they can be one-sided, one-edged or double-edged weapons, and with weapons with edge we can slash, we can pierce or stab, we can use an axe and cleave. All those are different options. Of course, we have blunt weapons like sticks, this handbow for example. We have weapons for short range, and we have weapons for long range like bow and arrows and crossbows, or throwing weapons, throwing knives, throwing axes. All are different, and it's always good to know as much types as possible. And of course we have improvised weapons like this pen, for example. A simple pen, but it becomes a weapon. This improvised weapon, pen, I can just stab to some specific points like the temple, the eyes, the throat. A simple pen. A blunt weapon like the stick will hit blunt hits. But I can also stab with it. It won't pierce him, but it will cause a lot of pain. Slashing weapon, of course, I can just cut him or stab him, of course. Cleave weapons, I can hack, I can cause a lot of pain with the axe. I can use the handle, always using handle with the weapons. It's very important. We'll talk about axe later. So a lot of types of weapons and different sorts of usage. I remind you, all my purpose is to teach you how to grab anything, improvised or standard, and feel the weapon and know how to use it, even if you are not masters with this weapon. So the first thing I would like to teach you is how to find the balance of the weapon, and this is pretty easy. You just take the weapon with both your hands and start. You see, I just move the hands toward each other, not too fast, not too slow. They will meet at the center of gravity of the weapon, and this is the center of mass. For example, this stick, the center is in the middle. This sword, see, the balance point is here. Few fingers above the handle. And this is very important because this balance point is a pivot point. When we want to rotate the weapon around, we need to rotate it around a point. When we do it around the pivot point, the rotation is fast. When we do it not around the pivot point, the rotation is slow. Right now I rotate around my hand, but this is where the center of mass is, and it draws an arc in the air. Same goes with the stick. This is around the pivot point, this is not around the center of mass. Here the pivot point is far from the center of mass and the rotation is slow. So first thing you need to know is balance, so you can know what you can do with the weapon. Take for example the axe. I can hold the axe at the handle, and but the center of mass is up here, almost at the head itself. So I can hold the axe at the handle and do long swings, long heavy swings, using a lot of gravity behind my strikes, my hacks. Or I can hold the axe here near the head and I can twist it very fast. I can hit small hits, they're still heavy but small, and of course not as powerful as a long movement, short movement, but I also can use the handle this way and manipulate it faster. Pros and cons for everything, but first thing, feel the balance of the weapon. Of course, another thing that derives from the center of mass, from the balance, is the usage of one-hand or two-handed weapons. I can take, well, this handbow can be used with one hand and can be used with two hands. This Dao sword can be used single-handedly, but also can be used double-handed. Of course, this specific type of sword is better to be used with one hand because it's built for this. The center of mass is close enough to my hand. With katanas, it's a master sword. We can use two hands, and the performance are great either way. So the balance is the first thing you need to know about a weapon. When you train enough time with weapons, you will be able to take anything in your hand and almost instantaneously you will feel the balance, the center of mass, how you can use it. If this is a centered mass weapon, and then you can strike with it fast, or is it weight dependent weapon and you can use it to create swing and momentum. Like this Dao, for example, we want to use the heavy part of the blade for the slashing, because this will not only slash but also sort of cleave. Balance is the first thing to know about weapons. Weapons can strike in 13 basic directions. Everything else is manipulation of it. The first direction is the upward downward direction. This pretty simple direction. The second direction is down upwards. See? This direction. This direction. So we have up down, down up. The third direction, sidewise. The fourth direction is to the other side. So we have a plus. See? A plus. The fifth direction is up downwards diagonally. And the sixth direction is to the other side. The seventh is down upwards. One, and the eighth is this. So we have the plus and we have the X. 8 directions. Now it becomes more complicated. The ninth direction is rolling. This. It's not the cross, but I take my hand and let the weapon fall in 45 degrees. It's not strike 45 degrees, it's roll. See, the pivot point is the wrist. I twist the wrist, I turn the wrist clockwise and counterclockwise. And the hit is like this. You see the weapon? It hits like this. Unlike the cross, this direction is hit the opponent on the head with a roll. So we have the plus, we have the cross, and we have roll. Now, the 10th direction is even more complicated than the roll because it's going around from behind. If this is fear and this was a roll, the 10th direction is going hitting him on the back of the head. So this was the 10th direction. The 11th direction is of course same here. So we have plus, we have cross, we have roll, we have the backside roll, it doesn't matter how you name it, this and this. You see, I twist myself to get there. And the 13th direction is the thrust, the stabbing. Just thrust it into him. Not all weapons have all the directions. Stick does. When you have the handle here, the ponyo or whatever you want to call it, you still have the same directions. See? This and this. This is the plus, the up down. You have the cross. I can't go behind his head with it. It doesn't work this way. So all I have is the roll. See? But with the back side of stabbing him. So totally we have 13 directions of attack. Not all weapons have them. Not all weapons capable of doing them all, or even most of them. So it's important when you grab a weapon to understand what you can do with it. For example, if I use the down sword, I can't do this efficiently because the blade is on the other side. I can do roll if I want to hit him with the blunt side, so I can roll, but the back roll is sort of irrelevant. However, the back roll can become from attack movement to defense movement. So not everything is black or white. Things are usually gray. Not all the 13 directions of attack are actually for attack. Sometimes they are just for defense. So train slowly, pay attention to what you do. Analyze it so you can understand it better. Another very important thing about weapons. It's very good to know how to hold the weapon and how to wield it, but it's also very important to know when to release it, when to let go. Because when we fight, and now we will do it slow, and we get to a point where the weapon is grabbed by the opponent, for example. So you see, I grab fear weapon. Now, he can choose, he can fight me over the control of the weapon, or he can just release the weapon and hit me with my own weapon or just strike a punch. Okay, so it's very important to understand when to release the weapon. Because right now I fight with him on the weapon, but actually he can just strike me with the hand, or I can kick him. It's very important to understand when not to pay attention to the weapon anymore So we can fight and he can grab my weapon and do some sort of joint. If I stick to my stick and won't lose it, I will just stuck in this position and in this lock. If I just let go, I become free, and then I can completely surprise my opponent and disarm him or hurt him or whatever in return. So it's very important to understand when to release the weapon and when to let go in life and in fighting with weapons.